is it that we do?
We give the people what they want.
We have Tariq from Power, Michael Rainey Jr. joining us later in the show, but we start with the MVP of the NBA. Giannis Antetokounmpo has until December 21st to sign a Supermax extension with his team, the Milwaukee Bucks. He had some media availability, and here's what he had to say about it.
I'm not trying to focus on that, and not that I don't care about it. Obviously, I care about it. It's a very big decision. My life, probably one of the biggest decisions I'm going to make. But I just let my agent to focus on that, and I'm going to focus in getting ready on Saturday to play the first preseason game.
He's not focused on it, Jalen. He's not focused on the contract. He lets his agent deal with that. What do you read into these comments from the MVP?
Well, Giannis is a professional. He deserved to be the back-to-back MVP for the regular season. However, once his team got to the postseason, Jacoby, they haven't met expectations. And he said a couple of things as somebody that's negotiated a lot of contracts in multimedia and as a player that should be alarming for Milwaukee Bucks fans. One is, I'm not thinking about that right now. Let me tell everybody something. If you have $200+ million on the table at any point of your life, you're thinking about it. Yeah, you're thinking about it. I don't care how rich you are. I don't care how good you are at basketball. That's $250 million. You're thinking about it. The other thing is talk to my agent. Like that one right there, that's almost like talk to the hand. In other words, we're going to get out here and play basketball this year. We're going to see if we go farther than we did last year. If we don't go farther than we did last year, unfortunately for me and my fandom, he's going to fall into the category of notable, great, all-star, current NBA players that have switched teams over the last couple of years, Jacoby.
Well, here's the thing, Jalen. There's no reason for Giannis to sign that deal. Now, you discussed this. Now, this is something that bothers you. Why does it bother you that these big players switch teams?
Well, all situations aren't created equal. Kyrie Irving was trying to find a home. When he left Cleveland, he left Boston, and he landed with KD with the Nets. Russell Westbrook was an MVP a handful of years ago, Jacoby. He's going to be on his third team in 3 years. Paul George wanted to return to Cali to team up with Kawhi Leonard. And Jimmy Butler was looking for happiness. That's all he didn't get it in Chicago, didn't get it in Minnesota, didn't get it in Philly. He found it in Miami. But Jacoby, what changes the landscape of the NBA is when you have MVP level players, champions, finals MVPs, superstars changing teams. That really affects the dynamics of the league. Ask Oklahoma City. Remember we used to talk about them? We don't talk about them no more. You know why? They don't have Russ, they don't have KD, and they don't have Harden. That's just how this game works. And so when you look at that list, that's probably 10 or 11 of the top 20 players in the entire NBA that have changed teams over the last couple of years. Anthony Davis realized that he wasn't going to get it done with the Pelicans, so he let them know that, hey, I want to go to LA and team up with LeBron. And Kevin Durant, he left the Splash Brothers to go to the Nets. And we know LeBron is the person as a superstar in the modern era that actually ushered that into today's game, that shows the player that you don't have to necessarily be loyal to one teammate, team, or franchise. You can kind of get your money on and off the floor, top dollar, plus go to a market you really want to play in and hope to win a ring.
And I see absolutely nothing wrong with that. Like, you love Dame Lillard's loyalty to Portland. Like, you love it that he wants to stay there his whole career. And you want Giannis to do the same. You want Giannis to sign right now and commit to 6 years of being in Milwaukee. But you mentioned something that's very important. Happiness. What if Giannis is unhappy with his teammates and his situation and his roster? And what if Giannis is frustrated by losing and not getting over the hump? What if he doesn't like the way that Coach Bud sets up his defense and it's very effective for the regular season, maybe not so much for the postseason? If he's unhappy, why should he stay loyal? Why should he stay if he's not happy? And there's no reason for him to sign an extension right now. That exact same contract, the exact same contract is available to him after this season. So why wouldn't he play this season, see how it goes, see how Drew Holiday and some of the new pieces fit, and then make his decision later? And if he's not happy with the way that they're going, go ahead and switch teams. It's not even about ring chasing. It's about happiness chasing. What is wrong with trying to be happy?
Jacoby, let me give you a few examples I saw in NBA history, and I played against a few of these guys. I remember when Kobe and Shaq started their three-peat. Each of those guys enjoyed the championships they won without one another more than the ones that they did together. Kevin Durant just left the Golden State Warriors and the Splash Brothers, Jacoby. That's so he could try to win with the Nets, and he's going to value that more. These all-time great players are just wired different. They're not built like the rest of us, Jacoby. And so the reason why I hope Luka stays with Dallas and Trae Young stays with Atlanta, and I'm glad that Steph is renegotiating with the Warriors, and I hope they get that done. Same with Dame Lillard, is because I want to have a remote control in my hand and actually see great players spread out throughout the NBA. Not only talk about 4 or 5 teams because 8 or 9 of those players play on those squads. Like, we're going into next season. The ESPN list just came out about who they think are the top players in the league. They had LeBron James and Anthony Davis 1-2. At the park, those will be the 2 guys picking teams, right? But now they're playing with each other.
Facts.
That's all
I don't
saying.
mind it at all. I don't mind it at all. And if Giannis called my phone, I would say, don't sign that extension. And if he wasn't happy with the way the Bucks were going, he should go to Dallas and play with Luka. He should. It's not about ring chasing, it's about happiness chasing. If that'll make him happy to go down there and play with Luka, then go do that. You don't have to stay in Milwaukee just because they drafted you. You don't have to stay there just because they drafted you. If you're unhappy and you've fallen short of your expectations and the team's expectations, go ahead to a different team. Do what makes you happy. I have no problem with that whatsoever.
So let me ask you this. Based on that theory, are you telling me that Anthony Davis would never have won a championship with the Pelicans? Or that Giannis won't ever win a championship with the Bucks? Because you know what I'm old enough to remember? When people thought Dirk would never win one with the Mavs. And he did. And his legacy is cemented. They're going to name a street after him. He's going to get a statue. Okay, so that ring is going to be just as special to him as KD's 2 with the Golden State Warriors. Trust me, that's exactly what I'm talking about.
Of course. Well, I'm glad you brought up KD because there is some news about KD, but news to everybody that doesn't watch J&J. For J&J watchers, it's broken news.
To everyone else, it's breaking news. To Jalen and Jacoby listeners, it's broken news.
You've been saying this ever since he signed with Brooklyn, and KD said it himself that the coach is going to use him in a variety of ways, including small ball 5. How do you think that impacts what they want to do offensively and defensively?
How basketball is played in the East is way different than it's played in the West. In the West, most of the elite players are still big guys. Other than Dame Lillard and Luka and Steph Curry, you still got LeBron, AD, Jokic, or whatever. When you look at the Eastern Conference, the best bigs, Embiid, Bam Adebayo, Vucevic, that's only 3 teams. So on a nightly basis, 6'11" Kevin Durant is going to have an advantage playing the 5 in that conference because most of the teams ain't going to have a player that can even punish him and punish them for doing so. And also, I know the cast of characters involved. Remember, I played for Mike D'Antoni with Steve Nash and with their GM, Sean Marks. And I know that they want to play fast. And in order to do that, you have to have multiple guys that can dribble, pass, and shoot. And a 6'11" guy can't be the 3 like he was in OKC in the Western Conference. He can be the 4. He can be the 5 because, again, in the East, there aren't many 4s and or 5s that's going to take advantage of his slight of build playing that position.
And if you do run into one of those centers you mentioned, those bigs like Bam Adebayo and Embiid, you've got Jared Allen. Jared Allen is an underrated player. I love the way Jared Allen plays. He plays great defense, and you have him for those instances in which you don't want to put Kevin Durant at the 5. Jalen, your Michigan Wolverines have had a dumpster fire of a football season, but the implications on an actually good team are that Ohio State was supposed to get 6 wins minimum to get into the Big Ten championship. They have changed the rules in order to put Ohio State in, even though they have only played 5 games. I support this decision. Let's have the best teams in the championship. What do you think about them adjusting the rules mid-season to put Ohio State in the championship?
Here's the thing. If you're a member of a Big 5 conference, the only reason you want to return during COVID and without fans is to propel the teams in your conference. So if you're the Big Ten, you wanted this season to start and you hope that everybody got a chance to play their full schedules. But other than that, you want to make sure your marquee team, and that did come from a Michigan Wolverine because the Ohio State Bucks have owned us. They were
Absolutely.
a 30-point favorite this year. You want the current marquee team to have the opportunity to play in the conference title game, which is low-hanging fruit, but also the conference playoff. And in order for that to happen, the conference can get a check and split it based on how well Ohio State does. So just like the ACC did as they allowed Notre Dame to join the conference and then made sure they were going to be in the conference championship, the Big Ten is just doing the exact same thing.
At the end of the day, you can always just follow the money to the root of the decision. And that's what this is about. They want their team in the playoff to get that check. It is time for some very important news that matters. Jalen, I would like to tell you a story about Gertrude and Herbert in Zambia. Gertrude and Herbert have been together for 8 years. They have a child, but they are unwed. Gertrude took Herbert to court, sued him because they're unwed. In court, the judge decided y'all need to figure this out on your own. So, Jalen, what do you think about this woman taking her man to court and suing him because they still haven't gotten married?
Is this in the United States or is this abroad?
Zambia. This is in Zambia, sir.
Oh, this is in Zambia? There's a term that you'll learn under these circumstances, young people out there, and those that are in long-time relationships. It's called palimony. And that means when you've lived in the same place at the same time and cohabitated for X amount of years, depending on the state, he or she has now provided some spousal support for that relationship. You don't necessarily have to be married. Did you know that, Jacoby?
Yes, I did, sir. I did know that. Something tells me you might have paid it at some point in your life. And Jalen, if I gave you a map of the world, could you find Zambia somewhere? Could you find Zambia on the map?
If you gave me a map of the world, the only place I'd find is Detroit, Michigan, baby. Boss up.
Live from Pier 17, the South Street Seaport, and brought to you by Chase. Welcome back to Jalen and Jacoby. Jalen, we have a very special guest today.
Yes.
The world knows him as Tariq from Power, but the man behind the character, Michael Rainey Jr., joins us on the show right now. Thank you so much for taking the time.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you for having me. I'm excited. You're on the ESPN with it, man.
That's right. You know, you are the star of Power Book 2 Ghost, but on Power, you were a character, and on Power Book 2 Ghost, you're the main character. What was that transition like for you in your job?
Man, it was crazy because, you know, like going from, you know, reoccurring role to now being, you know, number one on the call sheet is different. You know, waking up earlier, different workload. It's crazy because now it's like, you know, now the people, they kind of have a chance to understand, you know, where Tariq comes from, like, as far as his actions go. You know, they kind of get to see why he does what he does and why he did what he did. But now it's like, he's not really acting up for being upset at his family no more. Right now, he has to make those decisions for his mom and his grandmother and his little sister because, you know, he's the only man in his family. So he has to, you know, he really has to think before he acts, and he really has to act, you know, for the family, not just for himself.
Absolutely. The show is great. It's fire. You can always see it, Power Book 2 Ghost. Now, you are Michael Rainey Jr., but the world sees you as Tariq. So, like, when you have interactions with strangers, or you're getting on elevators or going to the grocery store, like, do people ever call you Michael, or they just straight up see you as Tariq?
Man, I'm not gonna lie. Like, a good amount of people, they know my name, like, they call me by Michael. But I feel like half of the time, like, when people see me, they just like, yep, that's Tariq. Like it's just the first thing that clicks to their head because they just so into the show, they so into the characters and everything. I feel like, you know, that's just like, it's kind of like inevitable, automatic. Like, yo, that's Tariq.
If I wanted to parallel that to sports, that means you've been on a great show that continued to get picked up. Those are championships. That character, that's a championship if you play sports. That's what that is. Tariq, it would be an Oscar. Yes, no, exactly. You got 2 rings. And so what is it like, having a successful show, but you look down at your phone and Curtis Jackson, you have his number. So what is it like having him as a friend and as a mentor and as a coworker?
Man, it's crazy because, when I was little, 8, 9 years old, I used to, obviously I still look up to 50, but, at that time, I looked up to him, crazy, you know what I'm saying? I used to get in trouble for listening to his music. I used to get in trouble for wearing do-rags like him, all types of stuff. My mom took my little iPod because I had too much 50 Cent on it. So, going from that to now, I could call him whenever I want some advice, or, he calls me whenever he feels like he needs to talk to me, just stuff like that is crazy. So
he's not the only legend on set that you work with. Every day you get to interact with Method Man and Mary J. Blige. What have you learned from them? What's interactions with them like? Can you tell us a little story?
Man, working with Method Man and Mary J. is dope because, like I said, it's just crazy because I grew up listening to them. Not even me listening to them. My parents and my family. I would just hear that music just around the house at family events all the time. So it's just just going from hearing that just in your head, you never expect to, be in the same, realm or same screen, sharing the same screen as these people. So it's just going from listening to them, and then now I'm just working with them every day. We interacting, we talking.
Well, your discipline, your work ethic, and you continuing to be great at your craft, you deserve that. And then following you on IG, one of the things I noticed is that you posted yourself shooting your jump shot. So if you had to model your game after someone, who would you model your basketball game after?
Man, that's a good question. That is a good question. I like John Morant a lot.
Me too.
John Morant is hard. He's tough. I like, obviously, I would want to play like Kobe. Rest in peace to the Mamba.
Legend.
I would play like Kobe. And then I would say Steph. Because who wouldn't want to jump like Steph? Come on. He got that
unlimited range.
Splash, unlimited range, pull up from half court.
So one thing that we need to ask you about are the waves. Tariq, known for his character and everything else, but it's impossible not to have your eye just drawn to the 360 waves on your head, on power. How do you maintain those? What's the process like?
Man, it's a tough process. You know what I'm saying? People don't understand the waves. It's a dedication, bro.
Talk to us.
I'm sure Jalen knows. You gotta be dedicated, man.
Tell me the process. Tell me the step-by-step process on how do you achieve such waves.
All right, so boom. This is how you start off. You gotta start off wolfing. You gotta start off. Gotta have your hair grow out for about a month and a half or something like that. Maybe 2 if you want to really get them in there, you know what I'm saying? But you gotta keep brushing when you wolfing though. No matter how long your hair is, you gotta keep brushing. So once you brushing, you're in there wolfing for a month or 2, you cut it off, you chop it off, and the waves is dead. This is my process now. I wake up, do-rag off, brush a good 5 minutes real quick, you know what I'm saying? Hop in the shower. But you gotta put the do-rag on in the shower if you're not washing your hair though. Because you don't want your hair to get all frizzy and stuff. Excuse my language. You don't want your hair to get all frizzy. So you gotta throw the do-rag on in the shower. So it stays laid down, you know what I'm saying? But then you throw the coconut oil in there, the castor oil, whatever oil you got to make your hair healthy, throw it in there and then brush and then throw a do-rag on. Your waves are gonna be spinning. All you gotta do is just train your hair and they're gonna be there.
That is great advice. We're going to make sure we clip that, Jacoby. I promise you, that's going to be a to-do for waivers that everybody going to follow. Well, we're grateful to have you on the show. You're more mature than both of us put together. Please come back and join us anytime. We're rooting for all of your due success on and off television.
Let's do it, man. Just make the call and I'll be right here. I'll be right there. Let's do it.
Done and done.
Everybody
Appreciate the love.
We'll be back right after this. You're watching Jalen Jacoby. No, but the NBA preseason is already here. Friday night, 10:30, the Kings against the Trailblazers. That's on ESPN. Welcome back to Jalen Jacoby. Jalen, very intriguing game this evening on Thursday Night Football between the Rams and the Patriots. What do you think can happen this evening for the Patriots to pull off the upset?
So Jalen Ramsey doesn't have what's considered an elite wide receiver to follow around like DeAndre Hopkins.
What about
Jacoby?
You
know what he's going to be doing? He's going to be blitzing. He has a chance to get him like a fumble recovery for a TD, maybe a pick 6. I guarantee you he's going to be very active tonight and making plays for his team.
Well, for motivation, the Rams only need this image of Bill Belichick and the Patriots winning the Super Bowl against them, holding them to 3 points in the Super Bowl with all that time to prep. So you know they're fired up for this one. I love the Patriots defense. I love their commitment to running the ball and moving the ball. I think they pull off the upset tonight on Thursday Night Football. I'm calling it, and I'll be back tomorrow to celebrate my right decision and ignore it if I am wrong. Jalen, what do you think about this Patriots defense? Can they stop the Rams offense that has come into form in the last month or so?
Stat of the week. This is what I think about the Patriots defense and special teams. Cam Newton threw for 69 yards, Jacoby taught me, and they scored 45 points.
We'll be back tomorrow, ESPN at 2 p.m.